Hey, welcome to 0.5, Writing with Attention to Detail. And I'm not sure where Wolfie's going. Wolfie, where are you going? He told me he was all ready for his appearance, and I don't know now. He's going back to his trailer or something. He's such a diva. So the learning objective is students will be able to use models and the writer's choices in them to enhance their own rough draft. All right, so we're gonna look at a couple more samples, three to be exact, in 0.5, and then you're gonna write your essay. God is in the details, said a famous architect once. Have you heard that phrase? Here's a cat without details. Here's one with details. Details, good, God, divine, happy kitty. How do details add to a college application essay? That is a question I want you to be thinking about. And I'm going to use some more samples here to just show you a couple of types of details that you can use. So we've got samples in this video and then 3 sample essays that you're going to read. You'll see. It'll be all right. Okay, first of all, remember that your college application essay is going to be graded on 5 criteria. The first is the length. The second is about the structure. How unforgettable is the opening? How engaging is the middle? How provocative is the end? The third really applies to these details. The essay uses language that is precise, delightful, and thoroughly original. The sentences are lyrical, poetic, and dance along like a lively script. The voice is as individual as fingerprints and holds readers enwrapped. Whew, that's hard to do. Those are pretty high accolades. 4 is it's clear, focused, and compelling, and 5 is that you don't have any errors. So the key in this video is really that we're looking at number 3. How is the language itself going to make your essay better? And then you'll also have some questions in the in 0.5 in the packet about the structure of the 3 essays that you're going to be reading. All right, so the article that I want you to read that's in your packet is called Writing from Models. And it is from a national magazine about writing at the secondary level. So these are actual college applicants, but they're not like my students. They're from a nationwide magazine, and they took some of the best college applications they could find that year. And so there's questions for each of the 3 articles in 0.5 about the assessment criteria or the rubric, whatever you want to call it, that we just went over, those 5 things, and those are also in your packet for each model essay. All right, so let's talk about the first model essay that you're going to read. It's called it's by some guy named Mark Fishbach. I don't know who he is. It's an essay about a job that he had during summer at like some kind of university. All right, and what he does a lot is use hyperbole and allusions, and he does it masterfully to humorous extent. And I want you to watch humorous extent. I don't think that's what I want to say. I'm getting tired, y'all. The examples that I want to show you in a moment are not from his essay, okay? They are from published novels that I like and that I've read, all right? But I'm showing them to you as to kind of teach you or remind you what hyperbole and allusions are. All right, so a reminder of what hyperbole is. It's intentional exaggeration for emphasis or comic effect. It's kind of like how my cat is up and freaking out about leaving the room when he really doesn't need to because he just wants me to give him attention. But he's not being very funny. Here are some examples coming up in the piece I'm going to read to you. Watch for the description of the dog as a kung fu artist and his intentions against the human mentioned. Charlene, they are definitely exaggerated. An allusion is an implied or indirect reference to a celebrated literary work or something else known to most of the readers or audience. In the example I'm about to show you, Chuck Norris is an allusion. It's what the dog is named, but of course it's also a famous actor who used to play in roles where he was supposedly a kung fu artist. All right, here's the sample. This is from the book Grass Dancer by Susan Power. On the ground below the girl stood Chuck Norris, the Kung Fu dog. He carefully checked all 4 directions before peeing on Charlene Thunder's hand-tooled leather purse. He had been scouting her activities all morning, waiting for a vulnerable moment, the chance to make a statement. When Charlene had dropped her bag beside the MC's platform, freeing her hands so she could help set up sound equipment, Chuck crept behind it, daintily lifted his good back leg, and released his hatred for Charlene in a thick stream of urine. He's the Kung Fu dog because one of his back legs it just is constantly out like that. It doesn't go down. So some hyperbole here, some humorous effect, and exaggerating, right? The dog is not really a Kung Fu artist. He also probably does not hate Charlene as much as it seems he does here. But these things are used for humorous effect and to enhance the writer's goal, which it seems in here is to show how easy it is to dislike Charlene, the character. All right, the next essay that you guys are going to read in the models article is by some dude named Vincent Crespi, and he wrote an essay about teaching, really about tutoring. He uses active verbs and specific adjectives very well, especially in the beginning of the essay. Active verbs of course are action words, but active verbs create pictures for the mind's eye just with that one word. And there shouldn't be any linking verbs or to be verbs. They should be very short, precise, and active. Examples that you're about to see in the piece I'm going to show you from Love Medicine by Louise Erdrich, one of my favorite books. Cropped, rode, jerking, whitened, stood up. Those are all good examples of active verbs. Each one has a picture connected to it. When you hear the word cropped, you see something, don't you? Whitened, jerking, stood up, rode even. Yeah, they all do. Specific adjectives. These are describing words, of course. That's what adjectives are. But specific ones create pictures, again, for the mind's eye. You don't want to have beautiful adjectives. That's adjectives that are too big. The word beautiful doesn't create a picture in my mind. It could be anything, right? It needs to be more specific. And also avoid adjective avalanches. That's where you have one adjective, comma, another adjective, comma, another adjective, comma, another adjective. The hot, muggy, dark, ominous sky, you know. Just use one adjective that is especially specific. Here's some examples from the piece I'm about to read to you. Broad-beamed, long yellow, strong, thick, peculiar, gentle, perverse. So here's this passage from Louise Erdrich's Love Medicine. And this one goes, she was a short, broad-beamed woman with long yellow eyes and spaces between each of her strong teeth. When we began working together, her hair was cropped close. By the cold months, it had grown out in thick quills, brown at the shank, orange at the tips. The orange dye job had not suited her coloring. By that time, too, Dot's belly was round and full, for she was due in October. The child rode high, and she often rested her forearms on it while she knitted. One of Dot's most peculiar feats was transforming that gentle task into something perverse. She knit viciously, jerking the yarn around her thumb until the tip whitened, each stitch so tightly that the little garments she finished stood up by themselves like miniature suits of mail. All right. The last example I want to include is of oppositional pairs. Oh, this is kind of a term I use. I don't know what the best term is to use. You can use a bunch of different ones to describe this, but oppositional pairs are contrasting details juxtaposed in close proximity. In other words, they're opposites that are right next to each other. Okay? You could call them paired opposites, or you could even use the term binary opposition if you wanted to. That has a little bit more to do with sociology than literature, but it sounds real good, I think. So here are some examples just from the world. Hot, cold, dead, alive, black, white. These are opposites that are put next to each other, okay? So in the piece I'm about to read to you, you're going to see a description of a boy who is in a car, and he sees one of those figures that are mounted on the front of old-fashioned cars from the passenger seat. And he's really seeing how much different he is from that I guess, statue that is attached to the hood of the car. He is restrained while she seems free. He is looking backwards while she's looking forward. She's flying while he is really stuck to the ground, quite literally, as he's being forced to kneel inside the car. All right, so let's take a look. Oh, you get those again. Look at that. Let's take a look at this sample. This is from my all-time favorite writer, Toni Morrison. Rest in peace. Love her. Okay, I'm sorry, my face is blocking stuff, but it's from her book, Song of Solomon. Pressed in the front seat between his parents, he could see only the winged woman careening off the nose of the car. He was not allowed to sit on his mother's lap during the drive, not because she wouldn't have it, but because his father objected to it. So it was only by kneeling on the dove gray seat and looking out the back window that he could see anything other than the laps, feet, and hands of his parents, the dashboard, or the silver-winged woman poised at the tip of the Packard. But riding backward made him uneasy. It was like flying blind and not knowing where he was going, just where he had been. Troubled him. He did not want to see the trees that he had passed, or house and children slipping in the space the automobile had left behind. So you can see that he's described as being kind of squashed in there. He's turned backwards and he is really unhappy. And he sees this image of this winged, beautiful woman, that silver, that's facing forward on the very front of the car, who sees everything first. And it's in opposition to how he is described. So in a sense, this is an example of a bunch of oppositional pairs. All sort of culminating in the description of the boy in comparison to the figure on the hood of the car. All right, so what do I want you to do? I want you to read the 3 models looking for these kinds of things, okay? Looking for the details like hyperbole, allusions, active verbs, specific adjectives, oppositional pairs, to see how they enhance each writer's point. So read the articles and answer the questions, and feel free to do this with somebody else. Make it a little more fun, everyone. Enjoy and good luck.